Rihanna is worth $1.7 billion, but the majority of that money is not from music, it's from this. And it's because of her companies. And so today I'm gonna analyze Rihanna's lingerie company, Savage X Fenty. And my name's Alex Hormozi. I invest in companies. I own acquisition.com, which is a portfolio that makes unreasonable amounts of money. So be very, very impressed. And at the very end, I'm gonna be wearing all of this. And so there's 5 things that her company, specifically Savage X Fenty, does different that I think any business owner can model, independent of whether or not you're a celebrity. And if you watch nothing else about this video, make sure to stay for the breakdown of her actual membership offer. She has like 9 different bonuses that she figured out how to combine to make what would otherwise not be a recurring product into a reoccurring purchase that I thought was really clever, that I think every business owner who sells stuff, even on any kind of subscription, can use. So helping me out today will be my lovely assistants, Savage and Fenty. And let's pull up Rihanna's website. Okay, so here we are. So Rihanna looks great. This is awesome. And she's obviously selling tons of product through the site. But the real question is, how could she go from 0 to global distribution overnight when she has no experience in manufacturing, no experience in brick and mortar distribution, and arguably probably not that much experience even in online shopping? And so she did 5 things that I wanna dial in on. So the first thing she did was she partnered for her deficiencies, right? And so she has 3 core deficiencies around this business. So the first one is gonna be distribution, but I mean physical distribution. She already has the media distribution. She already has the brand. So she has the eyeballs, but how does she get the stuff? How does she get the stuff into people's hands, right? The second is, how do we create the stuff? How do we actually do the manufacturing? And then thirdly, the internet sales side is also a completely different game from making music or social media, or even to a degree design, because I would argue that she probably has a much stronger hand in the design of the products, which we'll get to in a minute. The first is that she partnered with someone with an existing distribution base, LVMH. And so if you don't know what LVMH is the holding company of Bernard Arnault, who's one of the top, 15 wealthiest people in the world. He's a centibillionaire. So if you haven't heard of LVMH, you've certainly heard of their companies, like Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, Givenchy, Hennessy, and Tiffany & Co. And they own a ton more beyond that. So the first thing she did was she partnered for her deficiency. Now, what does LVMH bring to the table that she could not otherwise have done on her own? Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that Rihanna doesn't have the ability to do this. It's just that she would have to learn a ton of skills. That's probably not core to what she's really good at, right? And so what things did LVMH bring to the table? So first and foremost, they have distribution. So as much as she has the media distribution, that's a U, there you go, maybe I can spell. She has the media distribution, she can get the eyeball, she can get the attention, she has the brand association, which we will talk about. But if people wanna buy from her, the vast majority of people still buy lingerie in person. And so even though she has an online store where she can drive people to, they have physical retail experience, finding locations, building them out, and basically helping people build a retail model when she has no retail experience. The second thing that they could help her on is manufacturing, right? It's one thing to make a product, to do some drop shipping, connect with some little manufacturer. The thing that happens is the bigger you get, the more difficult supply chain becomes, and the more you need to have partners who can handle that kind of scale and volume. And here's the hard part, day one, right? Like, it's more common for you to sometimes you partner with someone and they kind of grow with you with their business as your business grows, but she's a super mega A-list celebrity day one. And so she has access to almost like a global audience day one. And so she needs someone with global manufacturing and global distribution day one. And so just put some numbers on this. They have 118 factories globally and over 6,000 retail stores. So they have the experience. So zooming back out, if you're a business owner, you're like, okay, well, that's great for Rihanna. What can I do with this? Well, number one is distribution is one of those key things that you can make partnerships for that makes sense, right? Like, for example, when I invested in school, I brought media distribution, right? I had a lot of people who wanted to start businesses or had businesses and wanted to build communities online. And so that was something that I brought to the table. And so building distribution, either retail physical stores, that is something that's an asset. It makes something very valuable that you can bring to a partnership. For example, again, when we had Gym Launch, which was the company that I started and sold, we had a distribution base of brick and mortar gyms. And so when I started Prestige Labs, which was our supplement company, I could sell through that brick and mortar distribution base day one, which is why that company, within the first month, did its $1.7 million in sales in the first month of really being in business. And so I bring that up to say that like, there are few things more valuable than building distribution. And so the third one to tie this off is that they had retail and online sales experience, right? So they know how to build out the online presence for all the brands they have under LVMH, and they probably have teams upon teams of specialists who know how to run direct response ads, who know how to run branding campaigns, that have PR specialists that can go and get her in the right places at the right times, all of that stuff. And so the big takeaway for me and potentially you, and this is something that took me too long to learn, is that I think in the earlier part of my career, I wanted to learn everything. And I think that's very valuable. But at some point, I believe that businesses are limited by the collective brain power, so these are my little brains, there we go, that are inside of an organization. And so if you're the only brain in the organization because you have taught everything you know to every other person, then it means that a business is limited on one person's lifetime. And I don't care how smart you are. I mean, if you're Elon, then you know, congratulations, you're an alien and have beat everyone. But for us mere mortals, we usually need to get other people and their lifetime of learning and put it all together so that overall we can create a bigger enterprise. And the best people in the world don't do it for free. And to give you some scale here, her lingerie brand alone did over $100 million in sales. Now it's like, how do we know what numbers? They're not super public about the numbers. And so, but I think big picture, we can just say they make lots of money. What can we learn? So number 2 is she picked a good market. Now, if you've read the book, $100 Million Offers, I talk about this before I even get into the offer, because your market is more important than anything else. To give you an extreme example, if you were selling toilet paper during COVID, you didn't need to have an amazing offer. If you just had toilet paper, you had what? A starving crowd, right? On the flip side, if you were trying to sell marketing services and you were the best marketing services in the world, but you're trying to sell it to newspapers that are paper newspapers, those things are going down no matter what, right? And so the first thing that's going to be the biggest lever on the success of the business is who you actually serve to. Now, the vast majority of markets are neither of those extremes. They're not dying every day, 25% compounded annually in the wrong direction, or absolute supply-demand discrepancy between the entire world trying to buy toilet paper, right? Most markets I would just consider are normal markets. Now, what she did that was unique, and so I'll put it in here, I'll pull this up from the book, is that there are 4 components to a market that I like. Is that, are they in pain? Do they have the purchasing power? Are they easy to target? And are they growing? And so let's run through the market that Rihanna selected for her avatar through this framework. So first and foremost, were they in pain? The answer is yes. And she actually followed a rule that I really love when it comes to product, is that you want to have lived with the pain of what you're solving, typically for a long period of time. Now, Rihanna's she comes from mixed ethnicity, she has mixed parents, she has a very diverse background, and I think as a result of that, she also has a very diverse audience. And so one of the issues that she found is that lingerie and undergarments, the nude colors were not actually matching the vast majority of skin tones. So they had one nude, but it didn't match basically anyone. And so she had a novel idea, which is number 1, is that she offered 40 different shades of nude underwear. And so to quote her, she said, there needs to be something for a dark-skinned girl, there needs to be something for a really pale girl, and there needs to be something in between, right? And so that became the foundation of Savage X Fenty's entire business model. And so this then laddered up to their overall brand approach, which is aligned with Rihanna, which was about inclusivity and body positivity. Now, part of that is because this was a unique carve out from the traditional industry standards. Not to say that those are right or wrong, it's just they were different, right? And the other piece of this is that her personally, we've seen her kind of weight journey over time. And so there's been like thicker Rihanna and then there's been thinner Rihanna. And so in either of those situations, and obviously there's people who are, like, I like thick Rihanna, I like skinny Rihanna, whatever. The point is that she has gone through this experience, she resonates with the pain, and her audience knows that it's authentic when she tries to solve that problem. And so the second thing that you want is purchasing power. Now, she had a very difficult decision to make here, right? LVMH is a luxury brand. So this is a company that's known for selling bags for $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. And sometimes they don't even put the price on their sites because it's so expensive. And they ship out 1 or 2 products to physical locations, which just to keep the scarcity so high. Now, meanwhile, let's pull up her site. Let's see if we can make sure that we don't get banned from YouTube for for softcore.
look at the prices on these. These are super reasonable prices, $5 for G-strings. I mean, actually, I'm not really a purchaser of G-strings, but I imagine that's not super expensive. $25, two for 30, $5 accessories, $10 bras, $15 sports styles, $20 lounge styles, $3 underwear, right? So there's a lot of very affordable stuff on her site. And so for that, what she saw for the purchasing power for a very large audience was she just made it affordable, right? And I think that was a good brand move for her, given her upbringing, where she came from, and kind of like, I think it was on brand. It was the right move for her. So first off, did she have pain? Yes, and she lived with that pain, and she knew her audience did too, so she made the 40 colors. Next is, did she make it priced so that the vast majority of her audience could buy it? Yes. Her audience was everyone, so she had to make it affordable for everyone. Now, the next thing is, was it easy to find? Now, this is one of the big things that she brought to the table with her distribution. She was able to overnight have the world find out about this brand, which is an advantage that most people don't have. And so she just did a casual overnight 20-year career to build her brand. So yeah, it was overnight, naturally. But she was able to easily find the audience because she already had them within her community. And then finally, is this a growing market, right? And so this is a company that is serving an audience of people that's very diverse. They have body positivity. At least in the US, people are getting more overweight every year. And so there's lots of people who feel disenfranchised with the beauty industry. Now, there's a little bit of a pendulum swing back there, fine. But by and large, I think that we can just look at the projected value of her market segment, and it's growing at a 5% CAGR, right? Which is basically compounded annual growth rate. And so she has a lot of market to go after, and the market itself is growing. Because she's a smart businesswoman, lingerie is maybe an $80 billion market, right? At least in 2025, or projected to be. But activewear is just under 600 billion, all right? And that has a 23% annualized growth rate, compounded. All right, so like this thing, so at 23.5%, just to give you context, that's doubling every 4-ish years. All right, like very fast. So like that means that if you stayed in the same exact percentage of the market that you have, that means that your company would double automatically in that same period of time. And so this shows the advantage of having a tailwind versus a headwind. Like just keeping up with the growth of the marketplace, your business doubles. Not a bad gig. And so for her, boom, she checks off the having a growing market. And so when we're picking what industries we're gonna go in, what avatars we're gonna serve, it's like, cool, let's make sure that we're going after a clear pain point that's not being served. Do they have the ability to pay for what we have? Can we find them easily? And are they likely to continue to get bigger or smaller over time? Whenever you have a kind of a significant innovation, then you're going to have people who follow. Right, and I'll give you a completely different example. Sarah Blakely recently just launched Sneaks, which is basically like high heels that are sneakers. And so her whole thing has been, how do I exploit industries that have not made comfort a standard, but are still in beauty? There's gonna be a large increase in these high heel sneakers because women want to be comfortable, but also want the inches. And right now it's underserved. And so finding that pain, and this is also, again, like Sarah, like just like Rihanna, a pain that she had lived with for years. So the third big thing that she did exceptionally well was her brand. Now you're like, okay, well, what does that mean with regards to this? Well, she is a mom. She's had the change in weight. She has different body types and different skin colors, kind of like herself. She's kind of mixed. And so because of that, it made sense for her to kind of do this brand. Now, big picture, what I want to highlight here is, why would someone care about buying her stuff versus what they already are currently purchasing? So she has this massive audience of people that have positive affinity towards her, positive sentiment. They like her songs, they like her lifestyle, they identify with her, she's aspirational. So if you've got two bras that you're looking at, right, two products, and one of them is just from a brand that you have no real affinity towards, and the other is one where you have this, you're a fan of the person and they're priced the same and the quality's the same, which one are you gonna go with? You're gonna switch from the one that you have no real affinity towards to the one that you do. And so she capitalized on that. And so what's happening in a lot of markets is that there are a lot of old corporate brands that don't have personality or have lacked personality, lacked champions. And so they've made room for people to come in with a large audience and who have stronger affinity to then create their own brands with equivalent products in terms of quality and design.
and upset the market really quickly. Like you're seeing this with Mr. Beast and his chocolate bars versus Hershey. And I'll say, let me give you an example of a brand that's doing this really well, in my opinion. Nike has been able to stay iconic because they actually leverage personal brands better than almost anyone else. And so it's like, well, like if LeBron wanted to start his own, line, it's like he could, but he just went straight to Nike. Because if you want to compete with Nike, you're not just competing with Nike. You're competing with LeBron, you're competing with Tiger for the peak of his career, you're competing with, huge teams. I should probably name more people that are associated with Nike, but all the greats, many of them have signed with Nike. So it's like, you're not just competing with Nike, you're competing with all of their legacies. So Rihanna came up with this bra that, because she's a mother and she wanted to make it easier for nursing, she wanted to have a bra that helped her do that. And so she made a bra that did that. And that bra she made cheaper with a membership, which I'll talk about in a second. But I think the underlying thought process here is, what can I do to make my product faster for people, easier for people, or more risk-free, right? And so these are the vectors of value creation, right? And I talk about this in the offers book at length. It's probably one of the core concepts within the book, which I refer to as the value equation, which is the dream outcome for them is that they want to look sexy, they want to feel confident, and maybe even relate maybe just a fraction of how Rihanna feels. They're like, she's cool, she's amazing, she's savage, she's ferocious, right? I want to feel like a baddie like her, right? And then perceived likelihood of achievement. Well, you know what? This actually fits me. It's actually my skin color. This decreases the risk around feeling dumb, feeling stupid when you put something on and it's way too small or whatever, right? And then time delay and effort and sacrifice. These are the things like, how do we make it easier? So she made the clasp easier, and then she made them more comfortable. And then time delay, that's gonna be more on the logistics of shipping for this type of product compared to maybe a service or something like that. And I'm gonna talk about how she hammered the value equation in her membership model, which she did a number of unique things that I think a lot of people could copy who are watching this right now. Bad girl Riri made her launch campaign, and she followed the clear textbook whisper, tease, shout method. And so she did a whisper campaign, which was where she had this kind of mysterious post, right? Where she had Savage X Venti, which was at that time a mysterious account that she followed. It was the only thing she followed. And then overnight, it got all of this press because it was the only thing she followed, and it got all of these followers virtually overnight, like 17,000 followers in 24 hours with zero content on the page. Think about what the whisper phase is, right? So it callouts, it's like an ad. The key phase here is curiosity, right? And so this is keep the product itself mysterious and hint at how big of a deal it is, but keep whispers short, and bonus points if you can show behind the scenes. Now, this then transitions into where she's going for tease, right? So this is where she then teases the upcoming launch, and she starts to fuel excitement. So people are starting to guess, what is this about? Now, I think people had a decent idea of what this launch was going to be when she made the tease, right? And so now people, like, the anticipation begins to build. And then finally, she transitions to the shout phase, which is basically giving people the call to action. Yes, it's live, go buy it now, Savage X Venti, and she made it available to her, hundreds of millions of followers across all platforms. And I wanna talk about something else that she did really, really well that I think a lot of us business owners can model. So one of the things that Rihanna does exceptionally well is she makes organic content, right? And one of the key parts is that she makes her organic content contextual to the platform. So if you look here, one of the steps in making content that I have inside of the book, $100 million leads, right? Is that, like, this is, the old LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Tinder meme, is that you can't walk into a party. I think Gary Vee has a great analogy. You can't walk into a party dressed in a tuxedo when you're going to a club. Like, it looks weird, it's out of place. Even though that tux, there's nothing wrong, you look like James Bond, you look great, it might be out of place there. Now, nowadays, maybe you'd be, people would think it looks really cool, because I think it would look kind of cool. But you get the idea, right? Now, she has a huge following on Instagram, huge following on TikTok, huge following on YouTube, and she makes the content platform specific. And so there's very little crossover between her Instagram content, her TikTok content, her YouTube content, and her TikTok content, YouTube and Instagram. And so she makes it platform specific. So she's a very clever marketer because she understands how the platforms work and makes platform native content. And so here's more or less how she breaks down. On Instagram, she does a lot more hi-fi stuff. It's a lot more aesthetic. And so she'll do more image-based stuff, and she'll share photos and models kind of showcasing the lingerie. Now, the only behind the scenes material is probably gonna just be her stories, right? Now, TikTok is short form videos, right? And so there she's showcasing products a little bit more,
And she kind of hops on more trending sounds and challenges, and she's a lot more collaborations with other creators. And because of TikTok Shop, it's easier for her to have direct purchases right on platform. And then finally with YouTube, she's using more long-form strategy. So more try-on hauls, reviews, promotes her VIP membership, which I'll talk about in a second, which I think is one of the more clever things that she's done here that I think a lot of businesses will copy, that you can too. And so if you're curious, all of this is branding. All right, so with the exception of her making, direct asks, letting people know about the products that they can buy, if you just demonstrate the use of the product, if you demonstrate expertise, if you're in a B2B or services business, demonstration in a lot of ways makes the association between you and the positive sentiment that you want. And if you do that over and over again, that is what can take a high information buyer, somebody who needs a lot of information before making a decision, which is the vast majority of the marketplace, and then convert them into a customer. Now, number 4, the next thing she did is she doubled down on affiliates really hard. And I'm a huge fan of affiliates. Alan, my software company, was built entirely off of affiliates. Prestige Labs was built off of a distribution base of affiliates of gym owners. And so I'm a huge advocate for affiliates. School is 65% affiliate traffic in terms of the percentage of the people who are on school. It's people from school who refer other people to school, right? And so I'm a huge advocate of this because fundamentally affiliates compound, right? And they become these permanent nodes of distribution for you. And so obviously there's basically 2 levels of leverage that she was able to achieve with this business. First, she was able to leverage LVMH's retail distribution base. So that's the physical presence. And then layered on top of that, she was able to leverage the aggregated following of many mega stars. And what I think is really unique about her affiliate strategy is that you'll notice the different look and feel of the affiliates. I'll name them in a second, but they represent different beauty ideals. And so I think they were very deliberate about who they chose. So they have people like the Hadid sisters, so Gigi and Bella Hadid. They had Emily Ratajkowski, I don't know how to say her name, but it's very pretty lady, but different look. They had Normani, right? Again, different look. Lizzo, different body type, right? Vanessa Hudgens, Cindy Crawford, Demi Moore. And so lots of different look and feels to attract a wider audience. And I think the common theme between all of those is that they're considered beautiful. This is something that's actually taken me a long time to learn, is that the affiliates that you choose have a huge influence, and the reason that I wrote this on the same page is a huge influence on your brand. It's a bi-directional relationship. Your brand influences who's attracted to the brand, who wants to affiliate it, and then those affiliates then reinforce the brand itself of what are we about, right? What are the associations people make with our products and services and the things they know, like, and trust, all right? She followed the affiliate playbook, this is chapter inside of $100 Million Leads, to a T. So she found her ideal affiliates. We just covered that. Now, she made them an offer. Now, some of them is sponsorship. Some of them, they get a sponsorship and a percentage of revenue. I would imagine that for the vast majority of these types of deals, they're probably almost all just cash sponsorships. They make a certain amount of posts every year where they're repping it and they're wearing it. And I think at this level, I would hope the vast majority of them, it was on brand for them as personal influencers to make the association with Rihanna and LVMH, because LVMH has an amazing brand too, right? Now, obviously the qualification, they were already superstars. We already covered how to pay them, get them to advertise. That's what posting cadence, what things we want them to wear, right? And so we have to think about the value equation also for affiliates. And I think this is one of the most misunderstood parts. People think that I'm gonna have an affiliate program, people just automatically promote my stuff. That just basically never happens. Affiliates basically become another tier of customer for you, and you have to make an offer so good they'd feel stupid saying no, just like you would for a customer. And so it's how do I make it easier for them? So she sent them banners, links, promotional materials, so that it kind of made it turnkey for them, so they didn't have to, take a lot of time to think about how they're going to promote it, and she could actually make sure that their promotions were still on brand. And so to reinforce her affiliates positions as premier, right, in terms of aspirational, Savage X Fenty has a fashion show that actually won an Emmy that was on Amazon Prime, and she invited some of those mega influencers to come and join her to kind of rep it. And so this is brand accretive, it's brand additive to them. So this is the perfect brand deal is one where both parties benefit from one another and both brands go stronger and have more positive sentiment across a wider distribution base than they did prior to the deal. Because then there's zero cost to the deal, there's added financial value, but there's also increased goodwill and distribution, right? Those are the good types of deals, and fundamentally I think that's what she was able to achieve. So I'm gonna flash up some stats. So Instagram actually did a breakdown of this campaign of how they were advertising across social media. And rather than read you all these stats, I'm gonna give you the bottom line, which is that
most direct response marketers, it takes everybody a different amount of time to figure this out. But let's say this is the world of potential buyers that you have. Well, about this many of them are ready to buy today. So this is the classic, if you've never heard this stat before, it's 97% of people are not ready to buy today and 3% are, right? And so most direct response marketers are all fighting, making better and better offers to this tiny little dot. But the clever marketers who understand the longer game is that this 97%, you move along the continuum to here through brand awareness, through brand, education, and positive associations. And so there's no mistake that they did a lot of top of funnel awareness, a lot of associations, a lot of narrative, a lot of aesthetic storytelling, pairing, associations that they deemed quality to their demographics so that when they did make an offer to them, they had moved them along this continuum into their now much larger bucket that everyone else has a 3% bucket they're competing for. And maybe they're at a 15% bucket that's 5 times 3. That looks like a 3. There you go, that's a 5. And so fundamentally, this is how brands always beat businesses that are purely direct response. You look at the biggest companies in the world, they're not arbitrage businesses. They're not like, oh, I can buy a click for a penny and I can sell it for 2. The thing is that brand advertising outperforms direct response advertising every time, as long as you know what you're doing, caveat, on a long enough time horizon. And so in 30 days, direct response will probably beat branding. But on a year, branding will smash it. And that's where you get those 20x, 50x, sometimes 100x returns on advertising dollars. It happens when you grow the pie and then no one else can compete against you because all of this extra that we grew with the brand awareness is only extra for you. And everyone else is still competing for this little dot, and you don't even need to advertise that little dot because you've got this massive pie right here that you grew organically with goodwill, with positive sentiment. By the way, the reason I make these videos, this is all branding. The whole point here is that hopefully you can learn some nugget that you can apply to your business and then as a result make more money and associate that making more money with me. And she did this growing of the pie overnight over 20 years, right? Of having more like platinum hits than almost any musician today, and maintaining a very kind of cool bad girl brand. I ranked these in order of what I would deem importance. Now you're like, how could distribution from LVMH, her partnership, be more important? Well, if she didn't have them, she wouldn't have a business, right? She wouldn't be able to manufacture products. She wouldn't be able to keep up with the demand. She wouldn't have the brick and mortar distribution that she has. She wouldn't even have necessarily the brand association of premium luxury goods. All of those things are massively beneficial, right? The second thing is that she picked the right market. If she had picked the wrong market to begin with, for example, I think if she had gone luxury, I think that would have been really bad. I think people would have been like, she's being ridiculous. She's so greedy. Which is hilarious that she's so greedy. Really, she just made more money doing it this way just because she was being smart. It would have just been a bad move given her brand. Now, for example, like we do huge, very big deals in terms of what we do. So it makes sense for anything that I would eventually sell to be expensive, right? It makes sense. So second, like I said, if you don't have a good market that you're going after, it's gonna fall on flat ears. If she had done a big luxury move and gone like $5,000, $10,000 stuff, I think it would have been a disaster, right? So she picked the right market and she was clever about the fact that not only did she go after lingerie, she also went into athletic stuff, right? Well, this is loungewear, but the idea is that those are growing at disproportionate faster than population growth and GDP growth. She's going into growing markets. If she's going into shrinking, she wouldn't have sold anything to begin with. Third, then when you have the growing market, you have the distribution, brand allows you to capitalize on it. That allows you to get people to switch from what they're currently buying to your thing because they have brand affinity, because of the 20 years of goodwill that she's built up, from the music that people associate with going out, from having fun, from just relaxing, from in their drives. All of that positive sentiment built up over years then gets monetized, flipped when she starts presenting real products. Now, once she has that, then it's like, how do I get leverage on that? Because if she had just done that, she would have made plenty of money. But how do I get more leverage? Fourth, she brings in the affiliates. Now she gets even more leverage on the distribution in terms of media by also getting more inclusion because of different skin types, color types, beauty aesthetics, beauty ideals, so she can capture a wider percentage of the marketplace. And then finally, number 5, now we talk about the offer. All right, and so this is in order of importance. All right, so she had what I would consider a Grand Slam membership offer, because she could have had just a generic offer and I think it probably would have done fine. But she did a couple of unique things that I think are really worth dialing in on. Now, there were some technical components that required her to do this, And she did get a little bit of dings from regulators, but I will talk about that briefly. So let's look at the core components of her membership. And so there's kind of 3 core components here. One is, so remember the Grand Slam offer, right? So you want something that's going to be easy, you want it to be fast, you want it to be low risk, all right? And then you want it to have the dream outcome, all right? And so each of these elements of value are actually woven into this membership. So it's not just a normal membership where you just, like a box subscription, right? You pay $50 a month and you get a box of stuff every month. That, I think, would have not done very well and probably would have had a tremendous amount of churn. Now, the amount of members they have on this, the sources are kind of varied. My guess is she's probably got over 1 million people on this thing, making it easy and fast to join. So they do it right at checkout. That's not necessarily unique, but what I think they did make that's unique is that anybody who basically buys into not only a discount club, so you save money immediately by joining the club, so thing 1. So let's outline these things. So she gives a discount for being in the membership. Is this unique? Not really. There's plenty of discount memberships that exist. Now, number 2, getting a little bit more unique. She also includes VIP benefits that are media related, okay? So she provides behind the scenes fashion shows, access, exclusive content that she has inside of an app, her VIP Extra app, where she shows this stuff so people feel more connected to the movement that she's trying to build with Savage X Fenty. Really clever. So this is a brilliant kind of combination of the physical products world and the digital community world, which is something that I'm all in on when it comes to like school, right? School, one of the big reasons I made the investment is because there's so many businesses that benefit from it, right? Like if you're an e-commerce business, you should have a community for all of your customers to be in, because guess what happens there? They buy more often, they refer more friends, they give you feedback on the products so that you have more insight and intel so that you know what your next product should be or how to make 2.0 versions of it to make them even better. All of that stuff. And the nice thing is you can offer it for free, right? And the crazy thing is you'd pay for the intel that you get from a community, but here you're going to just convert more people into it. So it's awesome. All right. Now here's one of the most clever things she did. I think this is the best part of this membership is it's skippable. All right. So what does that mean? So remember I said you have to have easy, fast, low risk. Now, the low risk has multiple components to this. So one risk is that I don't get something that I want, right? That's a big risk. And that has 2 components. One is paying for something that I don't want, or that there's just nothing available that I don't want. She handles the first one with having the different colors, the different designs. And so that one's kind of handled. But in terms of, okay, what's in my box that I get every month? Well, what they do is they actually personalize the recommendations per person monthly. All right, so these are all personalized based on your shopping behavior. So once you make your first purchase and you join the community, you join the membership, they then tailor the recommendations for the box for you every month based on those past purchases. All right, so this makes it more likely, lower risk, that you're gonna get what you actually want. But let's say that you see this box of stuff and you're like, well, I don't want any of this stuff. Well, she made it skippable. And so think about it like this. For the first 4 days of every month, they say, hey, here's the stuff that you can buy. Here's the stuff that's catered to you. And you can say, you know what? I don't want it this month. And it just skips the billing. And so you actually just get basically the opportunity to get stuff at a cheaper price, and you don't have to even pay to do it. You just stay in it. And so it's almost like being locked into a free, in some ways, membership. And then when you choose to buy something, and if you assume you would be buying stuff anyways, which is what this kind of capitalizes on, then the months that you want to buy something, you can. And with the credit, and so here's E, it's based on a credit system. So when you actually buy, the subscription doesn't necessarily send you something in the box. They give you a credit that you can then redeem and pick and choose the pieces that you want, which also means that, let's say you get a $60 credit, which is the price point that she has. If you want to buy a $75 thing, you just pay $15 at checkout. And worst case scenario, let's say that you don't want to buy anything that month. Well, next month, you're gonna have 60 plus 60, so you have $120 that you can spend. And so in some ways, it almost acts as layaway for some people to almost be like a savings program where they can save up for a special occasion and then splurge with the discount that's already locked in. And so I think this combination of skippable and personalized plus the credit, I think this is a really, really compelling combination that has led to the success of the membership offer. These are the big ones, but let's talk about other risk things. Well, one, they have a 90-day fit guarantee. So again, risk, it decreases risk even further, right? So you're like, okay, well, I want to pay less and have more time to return stuff. That makes sense. They also get early access. All right, so that's closer to the approximated dream outcome, right? If we're talking about the 4 values, right? So like, okay, now I get to see this stuff earlier. You also get a free annual gift. So that's more bonuses, right? During your birthday month, right when people are at the height of their emotional peak of like wanting to feel special, they make them feel special and they associate that feeling with the brand. Brilliant move. All right. On top of that, they have free shipping on all $59 plus orders, meaning anybody who redeems their credit gets free shipping on whatever they buy, right? So this encourages more people to, of course, use the membership. And they get up to 25% off. So it's pretty significant discounts, and that's year round, right? And they get 15% discounts on skin, which is a different company overall. That's when you start being able to cross-pollinate with different companies, which is just a brilliant move on her part. So look at all these benefits. This is what you might consider a bonus stack, if you will, just done in a physical product space. And on top of that, but wait, there's more, right? She also has a free underwear pick or bra after every 5th billing. Now, why do you think they did it after every 5th billing? Because they probably know where their average churn is. And so they probably have delayed a bonus past the average churn point to give someone immediate reward for staying longer. And so then they summarize this on one place, which makes it a super grand slam offer, which is why I wanted to make this video, because the amount of people are like, man, I read the offers book and I just don't know how I can apply it to an e-commerce business. This is how you apply to an e-commerce business, right? And of course, they make canceling easy. So you can go there, you can call them, and you can cancel obviously online. And so the core membership offer she presents is $59.95 a month, and it's credit-based. And so now let's lock into what are the specific extra bonuses that she does to make this a grand slam offer, not just a traditional membership. So if you're wondering, okay, well, beyond the first purchase, how is she getting these personalizations? A brilliant lead magnet. So if you don't know what a lead magnet is, I covered it in the book, $100 million leads. And so if you want to get more traffic to convert, give them something very valuable for free. Now, the point here is that let's say that you just said, hey, go buy my thing, versus, hey, try a free thing. And then once they get value from the free thing, then asking the people who got the value to then buy the thing, you will get way more people to ultimately buy. And so this is kind of a little visual that I have to explain the difference. Like you might have 100 people that you talk to and get 1 sale versus low trust, turning them into a high trust audience and then getting 3 times the sales, right? Which is super common. All right, and so there's different types of lead magnets. Now for hers, she's using type number 1, which is revealing a problem. And so when you reveal a problem, it's doing it through personalization. So you can watch as we walk through this. And so she's able to personalize the recommendations, not only based on what they buy, but she can also change the shopping experience based on what people already say they want or like. And so at the end of this personalization, obviously they have to tie it to a contact. So after you go through this, so you have sunk cost bias, right? You have consistency and commitment bias. So you've already gone through this and you're like, oh shoot, I might as well make an account. And she still gives you a cookie for doing it, which is that she gives you a discount code as soon as you sign up for it. And so you can do this in any business. So for example, for acquisition.com, for business owners, we have a scaling roadmap. So it gives you a personalized roadmap of whatever stage of scaling you're at between 0 and 500 employees. And we broke it into 10 stages across 8 functions. So it's like, what do you need to do for sales when you're going from 50 to 99 employees? What do you need to do for marketing? What do you need to do for customer success? What do you need to do for product? What do you need for IT? What do you need for recruiting? What do you need to do for finance? What do you need for HR, right? For each of these functions, what's the problem and what's the solution at each stage, right? And it's very different going from 5 to 9 employees versus going from 50 to 100, right? So you want to be as personalized in your deliveries as possible. And so if you want to check our version out, you can go to acquisition.com/roadmap. That being said, the point of this type of lead magnet, which I'm obviously a fan of, is revealing the problem. Then you have your delivery mechanism for what that lead magnet's going to be. Now for her, she uses information as the thing that she's basically doing. So for her, the lead magnet then turns into physical basically informs the physical products that she's going to offer, right? That's fundamentally the issue. Now, I guess you could have a discount. I don't normally consider discounts as a lead magnet. I kind of see that as a component of an offer. But yeah, fundamentally, that's how it works. And guys, don't be afraid of asking for more. Look at this. This is step 8 of 8, right? Like if you need more information to make something more valuable for someone, ask for it, right? Like a lot of people have this fear of like, oh, my conversion rate's gonna go down. It's like, yeah, but conversion rate of whom, right? Like of people who really wanna buy the thing, like they probably will finish it. Now,
to be clear, there's good friction and bad friction. Like you don't want to make the user experience clunky, but if fundamentally you need the information so that you can give them more value, then ask for it. Like we ask for more information about the business so that we can make a personalized roadmap for you, which we have some automation cool stuff in the background that delivers the stuff that you need at your particular stage in business. And so there's more than like, hey, just your name and phone number, right? It's personalized. So one of the really clever things that credit-based memberships have is that they basically function like gift cards. And I'm a huge fan of gift cards for a variety of reasons. The biggest one being, it's basically getting a interest-free loan from your customers. All right, and so whenever someone signs up for a gift card, they basically front you money and you haven't done anything yet, right? So from a cash flow cycle, it's the most accelerated cash flow possible. They pay you and you don't have to do anything, right? And so the idea is, one, you have faster cash flow, which is good. Second, some percentage of people are not going to necessarily redeem it. And so that becomes pure profit, right? Because the way that hers is written, it's not redeemable for cash in any way. All right, now, I think one of the unique components of her membership offer, really smart, because lingerie in and of itself, right? Not as recurring of a purchase. Like if I were to say, hey, name me a membership type, the first thing that came to mind probably wasn't going to be lingerie. If anything, that just, when I think lingerie, I think special occasion, right? Which by its very nature is going to be intermittent, not recurring on a regular basis, right? Otherwise it wouldn't be a special occasion, just be an everyday occasion, right? And so it's like, how do you get people to consistently buy from you? Well, the discount's a huge part because they figure that over the year, they're going to buy. Number one. Number two, they can choose to not purchase anything the whole year. And so they can just choose to execute their credit only on the months they do have special occasions. But at least it keeps it top of mind. And I would imagine that many women, her target audience, like shopping. And it's almost like window shopping done digitally, where they say, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that we think you might like. And some people just enjoy window shopping. I mean, it's something that women do on a regular basis, or people do on a regular basis in real life, and they do the same thing online. People browse and they don't buy anything because they still get some dopamine or whatever it is that reinforces them from looking. Next thing that she's really gone all in on with this membership is that she almost makes it hard to not buy the membership. And so you can look here at her purchase page. So first off, the button says member add to bag. It doesn't say buy, it doesn't say guest checkout, it says member add to bag. And you can see the breakdown too, where she has kind of like a double price drop, right? So you've got guest purchase, which is almost grayed out, right? You can even see they changed the pixel so it's a little bit, it's like good, better, best, right? And so the worst here is, guest is $12.95, right? Then member is $9.95. But for you, because you're brand new, and I'm obviously not a G-string penny collector. Maybe I am. You never know. My other life. But it's $5.18. So you see this tremendous price drop, so 60% off. And if someone's like, well, shoot, I'd rather do that. And then when you find out, oh, you can just apply that today and never have to pay again because you could skip functionally every other purchase, that becomes a very attractive offer. But you have to cancel in a month. Right? Well, you could cancel whenever you want, but you probably only be reminded to cancel in a month. But at that point, they'll present you new stuff. And so if you have a membership offer, I think making that your primary offer and then basically downselling the premium is one way of doing it that obviously has worked very well for her. And I will mention this just because I think it's an obvious one. Having third-party financing is very, you'll just make more money. So if you don't have that integrated to your site, especially if you're doing physical products, you're typically losing somewhere in the neighborhood of 30% of your sales. And so to summarize my rating and critique for this business, I rate this a batty business out of 10. And if you want me to break down or critique another business and run through the models that we teach at acquisition.com, put it below and I'll put it in my lineup for next businesses.